Speaking of the Larry plane, where is Larry? Larry? Oh, Larry? Larry, where'd you go, Larry? Larry, there you are. What's going on? What's with the cowboy getup?
I'm a-hitting the trail, Tim. I'm giving up and riding off into the sunset with all the little doggies. Nobody wants to draw me anyway. Happy trails, partner. Good luck with the rest of the show.
Hey, wait a minute, Larry. That gives me an idea.
Are you going to give up too?
No, Larry. But look at you.
What?
You have all kinds of different shapes all over you. That's exactly what I'm trying to show the kids right now. You're perfect.
I am?
Hey kids, what do you say we draw Larry now?
Yeah! How to draw me? How to draw me? Oh, how to draw me? Sing it with me now.
Hey Larry.
Oh, how to draw me?
Larry.
Yeah. How to draw me?
Anyway, let me show you the time I drew him before. First thing you want to do is know where on the paper you're going to draw, because you don't want to start really, really big and run out of room. So let's start drawing Larry's basic body shape, because of course Larry did play the part of Little Joe. And Larry is shaped kind of like a cucumber. So let's make this nice big cucumber shape here. It's kind of almost like a hot dog shape. Draw light at first, because some of these lines are going to get covered up later. So once we finish this, you can back the DVD up and do it one more time. So get a nice loose line here. And we're going to put his face over to the side. It's a little more interesting when he's kind of turned. So I'm going to draw this kind of a guide line down the middle of his face. And you see a lot of artists do that, and some of you may wonder why. Well, that's the middle line of Larry's head, and it helps you find out where his eyes are going to go. Now, it's curved because it's slanted, because he's a round object. It's like this dodgeball. You see, I have a straight line on there, but if we turn it in space, look, that line becomes curved. Straight, curved. It's called perspective. It's the same thing right here. This line is the one that runs straight down the middle of his head. And we know that his eyes sit fairly near the top. Not too near, and his eyes are these big, kind of white egg shapes. So we'll draw this little oval shape here, and here, get loose. Nice big egg. Now this eye, since he's turned, just like this, Larry, see, when you turn him, one eye gets a little bit in front of the other. That's how we show it's closer. See, there they'd be side by side. Here, one is in front of the other one. So to make something look like it's behind, you just don't draw the whole thing. See how it overlaps right here? And it's a little bit smaller. That's because, as you probably noticed, when things get further away, they get smaller. They look smaller. So his eye is just a little bit further away than this eye, so it's a little bit smaller. Now you notice too, I didn't draw this line all the way over here. We stopped short, because that's where his nose goes. His nose is going to be just almost a perfect circle. Just like that, and it goes between them. And see how we draw that overlap? This one's in front of this one, in front of this one. It's one of those little drawing tricks. Now his pupils, the black spots in his eyes, are not circles like yours and mine are. They're ovals. And we draw another one here. Now this one's a little closer to the side. And before we color these in black, let's draw these little highlight marks. Draw a circle there inside it and a circle there. Now what that is, like I said, those are highlights. When the light's shining down on his face, it reflects. So it leaves a nice little white spot. And you can color the rest of it in black. Okay, now let's give Larry a big smile. Let's draw this little kind of a V shape here. You come down to, remember where I had this center line down here? If you kind of find the middle of it, that's where the lowest point of his mouth is going to be. Where it comes down to that point and up on that side. And then for the other part of his mouth, this big U shape. Not too big. His mouth doesn't open too wide. It's a nice big U. Now he's got a wide open mouth, but of course Larry can't open his mouth without seeing his tooth. Now let's not put the tooth right in the middle. Again, he's turned sideways. So it's a little bit to the side. And his tooth looks, I like to make it a little narrower at the bottom. So there's his tooth, just 3 sides. 1, 2, 3, just like that. And now you can color in his mouth. Just fill it in like that. Make sure your lines are all in place. Now see that? That's Larry. But of course Larry's playing Little Joe in this show, right? So we have to give him cowboy clothes. A cowboy hat is one of the hardest hats to draw. But let's try it anyway. The part where the hat wraps around his head, very lightly draw a curved line right around there, very lightly. We'll make it darker a little bit later, but right now, make it kind of light, okay? And it's the same thing. Just like this straight line here, it's that curved line that's going around his head. If I did it straight, it would look like he's perfectly lined up with to the paper, and we want him a little bit turned. So that's perspective, a little curved line here. And now for the brim, we're going to draw kind of a big figure 8 right through here on its side, kind of a sideways 8. Start up here by his head, near the top, and draw a big figure 8. Now it's bigger on this side because the back of the cowboy hat is bigger, and this goes behind him. Now if we continued this, you'd see the line went all the way back up here again. But let's not draw that because that's behind his head. And go ahead and make this line a little bit darker. Just go ahead and darken that in like that. Okay, now there's Larry with a big figure 8 sitting on his head, and it doesn't look like a cowboy hat yet, does it? Nope, he needs the top of it, the bowl of the hat. Now the bowl is, we'll make it with this curved line this way, not too tall. It's not a 10-gallon hat. and another one on this side, not quite as tall. It's shaped kind of like that big silo in the show, where it's a big round thing. So we start up on the top. And this hat is not a straight line across. We're gonna have a lot of twists and turns in here. Start off with a little curve like that, curve up, and make this big dip, big U shape. And that's the center of the hat right there. And then a little bit longer curved shape this way, and then kind of go backwards from that curve up, and then back in like that. And now we have the basic shape of his cowboy hat. This is more like the style that he was wearing at the beginning of the show, when he first came out. And sometimes there's this little dent right there, so you can put a little, kind of a little comma, backwards comma in there to show that the hat dips in. And of course he has to have the band on his cowboy hat. So just draw another line, curved line. It runs just like this one. It runs right next to it. So there's Larry in his cowboy hat. But he's not just wearing a cowboy hat. He's got his kerchief on and wraps around his neck. And just like this line was curving up, down here, we're going to let it curve down. It's that same curved line like I showed you on the dodgeball. Just do a light line here to show you roughly where it goes. Now let's put the knot, because he ties it in front. The knot is over here on the side. And the knot is going to be kind of a diamond shape, like this. All made out of curved lines like this. Just like that. See that? And then you can draw another curved line in the middle to make it feel like that's where the knot happened. And then let's make this line a little more solid here. Wraps around this side, and it goes a little bit wider because it's bunched in the middle. Now here's the tricky part. You make this line, don't go all the way to the edge here, or make it go just to the edge of his body line, and bring the back of the kerchief a little bit higher, because see how it makes it feel like it's wrapped around him? Just like that. And then we do the same thing on this side. It's curved lines, right like this, curving up, following the curve of his body. And again, go a little bit wider than his body line is. And just wrap it around like that. Now we have the tassels that kind of fall down where he tied it in a knot and left the tassels hang. This first tassel, we're going to make it one simple curved line like that. The other side, it's kind of an S. See, it's just got a little bit of an S shape to it. And again, just a little wrinkle in there. And the same thing on this side, only backwards from the other side. And let it overlap. Get it behind there. Don't draw the lines behind it. Let it go right up to that. And it feels like it's behind the other one. And make it a little bit longer. It's kind of more interesting to look at when one side's a little bit longer than the other. Before we're done, let's go ahead and shade in his hat. Take your pencil on its side and just lightly color. We're not drawing lines, we're just drawing and kind of coloring it in. You might have to go a little slower at first, but just using the side of your pencil, color that in. Now let's leave the band white. Just color that in with the side of your pencil there. And if you're using a black pencil, that makes it kind of gray, doesn't it? Let's do the same thing with this kerchief. And one thing that'll help too, let's draw the stretched out oval right underneath him and a little bit on this side. And you know what that's going to be? That's going to be the shadow, where the sun's shining on him and his hat casts this big shadow down the ground. And that'll make it feel like he's really sitting there and not floating around in space or anything. There you go. And even put the horizon line back there. And there is little Joe on the lone prairie.